Engineers solve problems, no matter what type of engineer you are. See a problem, find a solution, execute the solution. That's fine in certain cases, but when you talk about real world interactions and relationships, a lot of times that approach just doesn't work that well. You see, we as audio engineers tend to not just listen. We listen with the intent to solve a problem. If somebody comes to us to vent, we're not just actively listening and moving on. We're also using part of our brain to try to figure out, how can I help fix this scenario? Because that's what engineers do by nature. Something that took me a long time to realize is that a lot of healthy relationships require those problems to go unfixed. I know that might sound crazy, but it's true. Leaving a problem unsolved will go against your engineering instincts, but think about it like bacteria. Instinctively, you might think, hey, bacteria is a bad thing, I need to get rid of it, and that's that. But in reality, if you did that, you'd die. There's certain bacteria that you need inside your body to keep going forward and to live. I look at giving people the opportunity to sit with problems in the same regard. This is a really hard sell for people like you and I. We're engineers, like I mentioned before. We want to fix things. But the difference when you're dealing with a client versus dealing with a loved one or a friend is that when a client comes to you for a mix, they have admitted that there's a problem that they want you to fix. Often we assume that when people come to us with their problems, they're there because they want you to fix it. And that's pretty presumptuous. You'll find more often than not that people are really just there for an ear. It's often more important for somebody to vent than for the problem to even be fixed. Part of my former day gig was working at a high-level customer service position, and I dealt with people that were angry. That was my 9 to 5. And I learned really quickly that if I led into things by trying to fix their problem, I wasn't doing what they wanted to do. It was only when I reframed everything and said, hey, let me allow this person the space to communicate what's going on, that I started seeing results. And this makes sense. We're in a day and age where there's so much social media, there's so much noise. People tend to not get the opportunity to just voice their opinion, voice their frustrations. And a lot of times, if you give them that chance, not only will it appease that need, but it'll also allow them the time to slow down and get to the answers themselves. And I think that's something as an audio engineer, we can all benefit from. If you can start to teach artists or teach people in the room how to get to solutions on their own, rather than fixing things and needing to be present all the time, it's a bigger benefit. You're teaching somebody to fish versus bringing them the meal. This is a struggle that comes from experience. When my wife comes to me with an issue, I go into engineer mode. I'm trying to fix it. But it doesn't allow her to showcase her independence and her ability to troubleshoot and work out problems. I think, again, it's pretty presumptuous to assume that a person can't figure things out on their own just because they want to bring you into their thought process as they're figuring things out. Learn to know the difference. Is it logical to keep good advice to yourself? No. Is it necessary sometimes? Absolutely. Fortunately, if you're dealing with folks that are genuinely trying to get over their problems, if you allow them enough time, they'll either get to the answer on their own, or they'll get to a point where they trust you enough to take in that input. But be sure that they're ready to receive that input before you dish it out. It's a quick way to ruin an engagement. It's a quick way to ruin a conversation and a friendship if you're that person that's always giving out advice without anybody asking for it. So I hope this helps out a bit. I've seen this mistake cost engineers tons of relationships. I saw those relationships kind of fix themselves, mine included, when said engineers started to humble themselves. So think about that in your engagements. Are you talking to people too much? Should you be listening to them a little bit more? And should you be allowing people the space to just vent instead of trying to fix everything like it's a bad mix? If you enjoy this type of content, do me a favor, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment below with topics that you'd like to see going forward. Peace.
Man, this shit is sick.